Another day, another PACWEST soccer doubleheader here at the Langley Events Center at Willoughby Park. And it's a top-of-the-table clash on the women's side to kick things off as the Langara Falcons, undefeated, 3 straight wins for the first time in over a decade for the Lady Falcons. They're going to take on the VIU Mariners, the reigning champs, and looky, they're also undefeated as well, but VIU top of the table on goal difference, and this is going to be massive as far as the head-to-head potential tiebreaker is concerned as well in the PACWEST. Both of these teams atop the table on 9 points, as mentioned, 3 wins each. Capilano and Douglas, the other 2 clubs in the PACWEST women's division, rooted, I should say, to the foot of the table on 0 points. They are about to get going as well. So a full sked of games here today in the PACWEST. The doubleheader also includes the men's affair. That comes up at 2:30 with bottom of the table VIU visiting top of the table now Langara after their victory over Douglas yesterday. But back to the women's contest here that we're just about to kick off. Let's get you the starting 11s. First for the visiting reigning champions VIU, the Mariners. In goal, number 1, Caden Thorpe. Number 3, Jada Kammerman. Number 4, Emma Thornton. Number 7, Mary Nichols. Number 9, Mary Huggle. Number 11, Maya Creed. Number 12, Ella Gignac. Number 14, Hannah Wagner. Number 19, Avery Henderson. Number 22, one of my favorite players to watch in the PACWEST women's division, Jade Dillabo. And last but certainly not least, number 24, Emma Riccardi. The head coach for VIU is Bobby Taylor. Meanwhile, the Langara Falcons will have number 1, Kate Bonazou in net. What an addition she's been. Number 3, Rita Cerceris. Number 7, Melina Glavis. Number 8, Manat Dillon. Number 9, Athlete of the Week honors in week number 1, and rightfully so with her goals, Erin Bandel. She's number 9. She'll start today as well. Number 10, Abigail Gade. Number 11, Amber Wells. Number 13, Cassidy Kwan. Number 17, Alexa Di Ruggiero. Number 21, Ava Giovinazzo. And number 23, Madison Pinch. Alvin Prasad is the head coach for the Langara Falcons. And of course the Falcons missing the services of their stalwart new center back, Tess Vandevecht, after she was sent off with a straight red yesterday on a bit of a dicey tackle against Douglas College. It didn't affect the result. It was a 1-0 victory yesterday for Langara. It was a scrappy one. Actually could have been more goals on the score sheet for the Falcons as they missed a couple of one-on-one opportunities. I shouldn't say missed, but they were stopped by the keeper on a handful of opportunities. It could have easily been 4-0 or at least 3-0, but through some good goalkeeping and perhaps not clinical finishing by the Falcons, it was only a 1-0 result, which I'm sure they'll want to build on. VIU, meanwhile, put the boots to Capilano 5-2, and they've kicked off their campaign this year just like they finished it top of the table. So this is a real scene setter, and I think a real test for the Falcons here, who look day and night from last season. If they can get even a point out of this game against the VIU Mariners, I think Alvin Prasad and the ladies will be very happy with that, especially considering all of last season they didn't manage to get a single victory, a single point against these VIU Mariners. They dropped 3 decisions, 3 losses, and only managed to draw 1. So I think any point in either the draw or the win column is a positive one for the Falcons. And the Falcons are in their black kits today. They've been playing in white to start the campaign, but black with a little bit of gray shoulder piping. We've also got some orange lettering and some white trim as well. They're playing from right to left on your YouTube stream here today. The VIU Mariners in a very neat, classy-looking kit, I must say. The clean white tops with a little bit of, dare I say, Mariner blue or Pacific Ocean blue. Also some black and silver trim is there with the white socks as well. So a very neat-looking kit there from the visiting Mariners here. Just under 2 minutes in, 0-0, and the ladies in white are controlling the play at the moment. VIU entering this weekend set of matches, ranked at number 3, Langara, meanwhile number 6, their first ranking since pre-COVID. Just another one of those positive hooks to hang your hat on for the Falcons here. Misplaced pass there in the middle of the park, and the Falcons will get the ball back. I'm sure you can tell on your video stream here today, but while we had beautiful sunny but kind of brisk temperatures, actually perfect soccer weather yesterday here at the Langley Event Center, today has not been as favorable. Mother Nature has opened up the clouds here, and it's a very wet, rainy, misty affair. 17 degrees, and it looks like it's going to keep raining according to the forecast. A high of potentially 18, but the men and the women will probably have to play with some damp conditions here today, so we'll see how that affects proceedings. Early free kick here for VIU in the middle of the park. That's a shot on goal. My goodness, I thought that might have been a back post cross. I actually don't mind that effort. It looked like it might have just knuckled over the head there of Kate Bonazou, but she was equal to the task. And that's one she'll have to watch, Bonazou, because they definitely went for a shot over the head of the keeper there. That's a tackle from behind. I think Emma Thornton went for a bit of a fall there, and the referee, or beg your pardon, coach of VIU, Bobby Taylor, none too pleased with the non-call there. Rita Sears goes for a dribble, plays it into the feet of number 11, Amber Wells, who herself gets thumped over, so eye for an eye there in the last little spell of play. The Falcons get the furthest up the field they've been so far. Rita Sears has a free kick. I beg your pardon, a throw-in. Manat Dillon, under pressure, just misplaces her pass ever so slightly. And it's Emma Riccardi who's on the dribble now, and she looks like she's not scared to take on a few players, and she's in a real scrap here now with Rita Sears. Riccardi now tries to loop in across. It's side-footed away. I think that was Di Ruggiero who made the clearance. And it looks like she's the player tasked with filling in the boots of Tess Vandevect, who's been excellent to start the campaign. It has to be said for the Langara Falcons, but yesterday was sent off on a straight red, and I think they'll hear by the end of the day whether it's more than one game. It will be a minimum of one game. It was a nasty tackle, knee-high, after a clumsy giveaway, which is very un-Vandevect-esque, if I can put it one way. She's usually very tidy on the ball, but in yesterday's encounter, headed down in the middle of the park by VIU. Thornton has it now. Looking for Riccardi, but Riccardi just kind of flubbed her back pass, and the Falcons will get it back. We'll keep you abreast on the games out of town today. Of course, bottom of the table Capilano taking on bottom of the table Douglas. Both of those squads looking for their first win of the campaign, their first points of the campaign, which both of those teams making the playoffs last year and having a bash as well. But the start of the campaign for Douglas and Capilano has been none too friendly. I think this will be a real test here for the Falcons if they can go ahead and get a point here. And right now, VIU look in full control. They bop the ball around so nicely. Cassidy Kwan, is she going to get skinned here? No, that's some good, strong defending there by Kwan. The ball flies across the area. Great stop there by Bonazou. It looked like Kwan had done just enough to stifle the pressure of Jada Kammerman, but she ended up actually uncorking the cross, and Bonazou, and I think it was Di Ruggiero, just couldn't sort out the space there. And the shot on net from point-blank range is tipped over by Bonazou. That's a fantastic save and probably her best of the year so far. It's going to be Kammerman with the cross. It's well placed to the top of the area. Carries all the way out for Thornton. She cuts back to her left foot and then to her right. She's trying to open up for a shot, but just a sea of black shirts swarm upon her. Offside on Kammerman now, as Rita Sears was right there to keep her honest, just in case she got by. Wells tried to play it into the path of, I believe that was Di Ruggiero. In fact, it was. Cassidy Kwan is now actually dropped into that kind of center back role alongside Madison Pinch, and we saw that last campaign. Kwan is kind of a Swiss Army knife of sorts for Alvin Prasad on the Falcons bench. She can play as a forward, she can play in the middle of the park, and she can also play as a defender, so it's a nice little luxury to have there if you're a coach. And right now she's filling in for Vandevect. It looked like it was Di Ruggiero to start, but they've pressed her a little higher up the park. Abigail Gade gets her first touch of the match. Giovinazzo. Kwon. Long floated diagonal ball from Kwon. Just not enough zip on it, really, and it was headed cleanly away there by, I think it was Ella Gignac who put the noggin to it. In fact, it was. Good header as well. It looks like the rain has just stopped here ever so slightly, and the broadcaster says a quick thank you to the heavens because some of our equipment was getting soaked here. Cameraman Rodrigo and myself were scrambling like chickens with our heads cut off, just trying to keep everything dry while still getting our broadcast work done. So it's been a bit helter-skelter behind the scenes here, but we do have the broadcast on the air. Madison Pinch now with a clearance. Nil-nil in the other women's contest at the moment between Capilano and Douglas. They're just under 10 minutes in, similar to us here at the Langley Event Center, of course, home of the Vancouver FC CPL club here at Willoughby Park. That's a robust challenge on Amber Wells, and that's going to be a stern talking to and possibly even a yellow. She got thumped there. It wasn't malicious. They were both coming together on a 50-50 ball, and Wells just got a step ahead of it, but she hasn't moved a lick here. I'm not sure who dealt that tackle from VIU, but that was a clobbering, and Amber Wells' evening, or I should say early afternoon, if it's not done, it's going to be at least a little bit battered and bruised, that's for sure. We know Wells is a tough customer, and she'll probably keep going here, but sometimes when the body says no, the body says no. She'll be helped up by Giovinazzo. And it looks like she'll be okay. That was a robust tackle, to put it mildly. The Falcons win the free kick just inside, I believe it was just inside the VIU half. Long cross to the back post. Gade knocks it down very nicely for, I think it was Wells who was close by as well. She was kind of leaning the other way as well, Gade. She kind of had to stoop her head backwards, but it was a very clever little knockdown. Unfortunately, they just couldn't uncork a shot. I think it was Amber Wells who was the closest to it. Gade now on the dribble. Back to Glavis. Another long floated diagonal. That might be the way for the Falcons here. They perhaps might not want to try and play through that midfield of the Mariners. So the long counter-attacking pragmatic ball might be the approach. We'll see if it pays off. Cassidy Kwon now to her left for Sirsiris. Gade. She's got her hands full, this Gade, but she manages to release it back to Sirsiris, and now Kwon. This is good from the Falcons. VIU was kind of dictating the pace in this opening 10 minutes, but now the ladies in black just looking to put their stamp on things here. Pinch has space for Di Ruggiero, forward for Wells, who carries laterally. Oh, and Giovinazzo has her pass picked off, and this might be danger. It's 3-on-3. The pass is picked off by Cassidy Kwon, though. The second wave not cleared. Here comes Cameraman inside the penalty box now. Good tackle there by Glavis, who was taking no for an answer. Not taking no for an answer, I beg your pardon. She came over to the aid of Rita Sirsiris, and it's a deep throw-in that looked dangerous. It looks like these Mariners are ready to break at pace, and the forward ball was played with purpose. It just didn't find its target. Good defending there by Cassidy Kwon. Little clip on the heels there. Riccardi hits the deck. I'm not sure who the culprit was, but the referee was not buying that one and calls for a goal kick. We're into the 13th minute. It's still 0-0. Kwan, long raking diagonal ball. I beg your pardon, it was a vertical ball straight up Main Street. Just didn't find its target, though. They were looking to get Abigail Gade and spring her behind the back of the defense. It's been tidy defending on the head, though, so far by Ella Gignac. She hasn't really given Gade a lot of space in this left channel of the Falcons. We have a goal on the out-of-town scoreboard in the 14th minute now. And the Douglas College Royals have gotten their goal. Of course, both of those teams sitting on 0 points. They're desperate to get some forward momentum here. They don't want to be on the outside looking in come late October when it's playoff time. And to be honest, I'm quite surprised neither Douglas nor Capilano have managed to cobble together a point. They're such talented squads, and sometimes that's just the way sports goes sometimes. Some teams find rhythm, and some teams just find themselves in slumps with excellent players, excellent tactics. As they say, that's just the way she goes sometimes. Pinch. The Falcons are in possession, and it's comfortable possession, but it's not really purposeful possession, is it? They're not really getting out of their own end clean, and VIU, for the most part, are winning a lot of these aerial balls that the Falcons are attempting, and I think the Falcons need to get themselves just a bit more up the park. They're doing that now. You can kind of see them slowly pacing themselves up to the halfway line, and perhaps that's just what Alvin Prasad wants to see. They were sitting a dash deep there to start the matchup. We're 15 minutes in, and no real chances to speak of so far outside of that one VIU Mariners kind of bang-bang play inside the penalty box that Bonazou managed to tap over, free kick the way of the Falcons. Of course, the VIU Mariners men's team kind of in the supporter section, if you will, the undercover kind of barn area, just behind the VIU Mariners net at the moment. The Douglas men, I'm sure, in this neck of the woods as well. Their matchup in this doubleheader coming up at 2:30, bottom of the table, VIU taking on the top of the table, reigning champion Langara men. Free kick taken short by Pinch. Circeris has the ball now. She has a bit of acreage to carry forward. She had Abigail Gade kind of bellowing for the ball, but Rita Circeris elected to switch play. Pinch now into the feet of Glavis. It's a bit of a heavy touch, but she settles it for herself, uncorks a shot, but it comes off the backside of the number 7, Mary Nichols. Good attempt there by Glavis. She saw some daylight and just put the boot through it. Unfortunately, she had the obstacle of number 27 to get by. And this looks promising offside, I think, here for Cameraman if she ends up getting the ball. Circeris had kind of vacated her left-back position, so she just played it forward and able to get herself some time to get herself back in position. Kwan now wins the first ball against the onrushing Riccardi. Good switch of play there for Cameraman. Hints of offside, but the linesman was right there and keeps the flag down. Cameraman tries to get to the inside, now the outside of Circeris. Circeris stays right with her, though, and puts it out into touch. That's going to be a good battle, the two number 3s. Cameraman looks like she fancies a one-on-one duel, and Rita Circeris has got the Goonies never say die attitude, so that will be a very spirited duel, I can imagine, in the next 70 some odd minutes or so, as we're almost 20 minutes in. Wells, she flashes in to win the ball. A little bit of a halfway ball back for Erin Bandel, who unfortunately has nutmegged Circeris. She does ever so well to get back and kind of spare the blushes of Bandel, and then does ever so well to play it off the shins of Cameraman and win a throw-in. Excellent play for Circeris. I know I sound like her agent sometimes, but very seldom does the young lady at number 3 left back get things wrong. Circeris throws it into the chest of Bandel, last week's athlete of the week, and what a performance she had. Of course, first time the Falcons were able to get 2 back-to-back victories, a complete seasons or a complete weekend sweep of a mini series in over 10 years. And of course, Bandel had a brace in that first game and has just been excellent across the 3 games that she's played so far, whether it's been in a more advanced role or a more kind of controlling midfield glue kind of role. She's been a welcome addition to the club here. Dillabo gets one of her first touches of the match, and it looks like she wants to uncork a shot. Of course, she scored in the final last year's against Capilano. Gignac tries to float in a cross. It's headed away by Gade. Bit of aerial tennis in the middle of the park. No one able to really put a foot on it. But now Cameraman's got behind Sirius. This could be dangerous. Gade's giving some cover here, but Cameraman looks like she's getting it across. That's a fantastic block by Gade, who had realized that Sirius had been skinned for pace and was able to just get back and help out her fellow left-sided player. So good combo play there defensively by Gade and Sirius, as it looked like. Mary Nichols and, again, Jada Cameraman, who's been very busy up this right-hand side. It looked like they were going to create something there, so good defending by the Falcons. Only one chance to speak of if you're just joining us here in the 19th minute. Still 0-0. It was a VIU point-blank kind of lash on net that Bonazou was forced to tip over. And if I had to give the nod as far as run of play, it looks like VIU are probably the better of the 2 squads at the moment, but that's not to say that Langara have been out of it by any stretch of the imagination. They've just really struggled to create anything in and around the VIU penalty box outside of a long-distance attempt from Melina Glavis. There hasn't been a lot of opportunity to get forward offensively for the ladies in black and gray. And orange, of course. Pinch now. Long aerial ball. That's been Route 1 for the Falcons all day today. And unfortunately, they haven't won a lot of those aerial duels. Not one of the taller squads on the park, outside of Bandel and maybe Cassidy Kwan. Gade as well. But they might want to rejig that approach, as just the aerial service hasn't really been working so far, and they've been trying to bypass the midfield, it looks like. But perhaps just trusting in their passing play, which they have done ever so well in these opening 3 games, might be the way home for the Falcons. Gade tries to ride the tackle of 2 Mariners. She's been busy as well. This number 10 on the left-hand side, her and Sirius. Good dispossession there by Riccardi. Pinch stays with her, though, just enough to slow down the attack. Riccardi had the overlapping run of Cameraman, but hadn't spotted it. This could be a shot now. It was Thornton who wanted to dribble her way through the defense. Looked like she might end up laying it off to Cameraman, but it just got snuffed out at the last minute by the Falcons. They're bending but not breaking at the moment, the Falcons. But you can see why the Mariners go ahead and score 5 goals a game and such. They did it last year against the Falcons, and they've done it against Capilano this season already. A really offensively talented team. That's going to be offside. I don't think it was. I really don't think that was offside, but I'm willing to be proven wrong. I do feel for the number, I think it was 22, Jade Dillabo on the far left-hand side, because they had done ever so well to work that 1-2. Out-of-town scoreboard. Douglas, I beg your pardon. The women's team there, now in the 23rd minute, still up on Capilano, 1-0. See if I can get the game cast up and see who got that goal. I'd be willing to bet it's probably Isabel Dobbin. She scores a lot of goals. Dillabo now on the dribble. Tries to get past Pinch. Fortuitous bounce. Lands right back in the lap of Dillabo. Gets to the outside. Left-footed. Stands it up. Right into the chest of Bonazou. She tried to stand it up, I should say, but it ended up being a laser shot, knuckling in at the near post. It was hit with some pace, so Bonazou had to corral that rebound quickly, and she did. Drop kick out now for Bonazou. The Falcons are they're struggling to string together passes outside of the back four there. And I don't know if the counterattack is the strategy here today, but it certainly has been a different approach from the Falcons today as opposed to the last 3 games. Here comes Mary Huggle. Takes on 2 Falcons and cuts it back for Cameraman, who's now more inside. Great laser over cross there. It's a switch for Dillabo. Can she uncork a shot? It's a right footer, and it's bombed away by Bonazou, who actually claims her rebound. What a switch of play there from Cameraman, who has a very cultured right foot My goodness me, that was an absolute frozen rope of a cross. And to her credit, Dillabo did a great touchdown to tee herself up and blasted it without asking any questions on the right foot. But Bonazu, who is finally starting to see some action in between the Langara sticks. She's been busy here today. Another great save. 3 to her tally so far by my count. Good chance there by the Mariners. And things have gone from bad to worse for Capilano Blues in the other women's encounter here today. Douglas now up 2-0. That one in the 24th minute. And if Capilano don't pull their socks up, so to speak, they might find themselves out of the playoff picture very early in this campaign. Which would be such a shame. They made the finals last year, hosted nationals, got some silverware out of that. And to come back and kind of put yourself behind the 8 ball to start the campaign, I can't imagine it's something that the Lady Blues wanted to hang their hat on. Cassidy Kwan now has a free kick at the halfway line. Plays it forward, but it's a risky one. Bandel does ever so well to roulette 2 players. Good play there by the number 9. Avery Henderson, who just couldn't get body position on Bandel, so was just forced to clobber the number 9 from behind. It was a little bit cynical, but Bandel, that's kind of her bread and butter. She's so good at shielding the ball and kind of shepherding it and creating spaces and kind of rouletting and pivoting her way out of tight corners. It's fantastic play by the number 9, and she's gotten her club a really good opportunity here. This is the furthest forward they've been with this much kind of time and opportunity to really sort themselves out. Once again, not the tallest club in the world are the Falcons. Madison Pinch is a serious threat here, as is Bandel and Gade. Cassidy Kwan also there as well, but she's the free kick maestro who will be serving this one up. We'll see what happens here. It'll be a right-footed, I believe that would be an in-swinger, kind of dropping it on the penalty dot if she can. Bandel's in the perfect spot right now. The Mariners are walking up their line, though, and that's clever because they were sitting very deep there. Bandel's offside if she gets this. Ooh, it floated into, it looked like Amber Wells was the closest to it. I think she was well jockeyed there by Maya Creed, the 2 number 11s. Good service, though, from Cassidy Kwan, as it kind of ducked into that naughty area at the back post that had the keeper kind of scrambling and flashing across her line. So far, it's been a quiet night at the office, though, for Caden Thorpe. She's in the royal purple with a bit of white and black trimming, piping, and coloring as well. Her opposite number, Kate Bonazu, as always, in the bright highlighter green or yellow, depending on the saturation of your TV. And the bright pink headband. I said before the broadcast that I think a draw would be a good result here for the Falcons. VIU are such a powerhouse and have been for a couple seasons now, and this new look Falcons who are starting to kind of find their rhythm and turn over some of the history that unfortunately has plagued them in the last decade or so. I still think a draw is a good result here for the Falcons. Just keep yourselves in that playoff picture. Not the playoff picture, but that top 2 picture. And just show VIU that you're not going to be pushed around. I think a win would be dreamland, but I think a draw is probably a good realistic result. And it keeps you in and around that mix. And if the Falcons apply themselves in the following weeks, they could find themselves secured for a playoff spot, especially when you see what's going on at the foot of the table with Capilano and Douglas. It's going to be a throw-in from Gignac into the feet of, I believe it was the chest or the midsection of Cameraman. It took an awkward hop, and it's a tame-headed effort on net from outside the 18-yard box from Hannah Wagner, who is the one foreign player on the squad for VIU. She is from the state of Washington. Of course, no foreign players on the Langara college squad. In fact, all BC natives. Vancouver Island, meanwhile, has a couple players from out of province. Mary Huggle from Canmore, Alberta. By the way, Canmore, what a beautiful city. One of my favorite towns in Alberta to visit. They've also got Niobe Darku, who's from Yellowknife as well. Emma Riccardi from Windsor, Ontario. So it's a real cast of Canadian content for the VIU ladies. And they've sprinkled in some American talent as well. Deep throw in here. Gignac again. Misses its target again, unfortunately. And now Bandel's going to try and carry forward. And I hate to say it, but I think Bandel might be the way home for the Falcons. She has to really put on her working boots and kind of get into those naughty areas and help create things for her teammates. She's got such a different skill set than the rest of the midfielders of the Falcons that I think in games like this is so valuable. And I think if Alvin Prasad can get the most out of his number 9, that might be what pays dividends for the ladies in black here today. They're still waiting for their first chance. Marina Glavis's blocked shot is still the only real positive note in and around the 18-yard box for the Falcons. And the wind picking up here now at Willoughby Park. Out-of-town scoreboard. Douglas still up 2-0 on Capilano. That one just crossing over the 30th minute. Cameraman going for a dribble against Cerceris. Almost gets to the inside of Cerceris. It's a good, healthy duel between the two now. Cut back ball into the feet of Riccardi. She just couldn't sort out her feet, though, and it smashes off her shins and flies off into touch. It would have been a tough ask for her to wrap her foot around that one from that type of angle and at that type of pace, but Riccardi's been in and around everything positive today for the Mariners, and I'll be surprised if she doesn't have at least a couple gilt-edged chances here come the end of the day. Pinch. And the rain's just let off here for the last 5 minutes or so in Langley. 18 degrees and probably the height of temperature for the day. I do expect a little bit more of the wet stuff, though. It's kind of a thick group of gray, dense clouds hanging over the pitch at the moment. Certainly looks like we'll be in for more precipitation here. Little PACWEST precipitation, as I'm calling it, with some alliteration. Just a bit of a slide there in the center of defense. I think it was the number 7, Mary Nichols, who under pressure from Amber Wells just kind of lost her footing, and that is always a scare on these turf fields. And then we see another player slide down there as well. It was Emma Thornton. So you can't really wear 6 studs on it. And once your blades kind of start losing your grip, there's not a ton you can do. Of course, me with my old man knees, I usually go for the turf boots because just the blades can wreak a bit of havoc on the joints and the knees and the feet with some of the pivoting and the stopping and the starting and the weight shifting. But at these youthful professional levels, I think the blades still hold up. That being said, Mother Nature sometimes has other plans. Good play there by the number 14 in VIU. A good turn away from danger. Hannah Wagner, she hasn't been overly busy, but she got that one right. Jade Dillabo now, who's an absolute beast in that left channel. Tried to work it past Glavis. She did, but Glavis was just swarmed by white shirts. It's a very cohesive Mariners midfield. There always seem to be kind of roaming in packs of 2 or 3, so even if they are dispossessed, they can win the ball back swiftly, and they're really good players of the ball, really good 1-2s, and they have a handful of midfielders that aren't afraid to dribble either. So that's quite the complete, well-rounded package to have in the middle of the park for yourself. Pinch now. All she can do is win it away. Langara is really struggling to keep the ball at the moment. Ball in the left channel for Dillabo, who busts a gut to get there. She is going to get there. She puts on the brakes. Nutmegs Pinch, but Pinch does just enough to kind of put up the brick wall and not let Dillabo pass. Ava Giovinazzo comes in for the cover and hoofs it out into touch right by the concession stand, which, by the way, if you're coming down to the Langley Event Center, do check out the concession stand here. They've got a bevy of variety gummy packs. They've got hot dogs. I call them Falcon dogs. Some good herbal tea if you're the holistic type. Lots of refreshments going on here to keep you warm on a somewhat chilly and kind of foreshadowing of fall day in BC in the township of Langley here. Erin Bandel wins the ball back, but she's getting battered at the moment with a lot of reward is Bandel. She's fighting the good fight. Bit of a thankless job at the moment, that boiler room job in the middle of the park. Nichols. She gets the ball back. Nichols, she's going to put in a cross. It's a well-weighted one as well that kind of dropped into the penalty dot. It falls to the number 4. Oh, and she just slipped on the ball at the worst possible moment. It was Emma Thornton who had been played in ever so well by Mary Nichols, who, what a ball. Just the perfect weight, the perfect pace, the perfect swerve. That was a well-played ball. Unfortunately, Emma Thornton and a bit of this wet rain had other plans. Riccardi pushed over in the area. Referee says no penalty, and I have to agree with that one. The bench of the Mariners is none too pleased, but it was a coming together there. I think that would have been a very harsh penalty had it had been called one, but Riccardi's now down on the deck, so it was a coming together, but maybe it did take a good chunk out of the number 24. Of course, we do have a slight obstructed view here on the broadcast. We're dealing with tents up here at the top kind of bell tower level of our broadcast vantage point. And we were just getting soaked and we were trying to save our equipment, so we had to back up the camera ever so slightly. So if the view is obstructed by some of the tent poles and what have you, we do apologize, but I'll do my best to describe the action if it is obstructed ever so slightly. And I'll try and be poetic about it. I've been told I'm like the Edgar Allan Poe of collegiate play-by-play soccer. Nichols was in a healthy battle there with Gade. It ended up falling to Gignac, who whipped in across. And I think Riccardi would have had to groan 2 or 3 feet to reach that one, but good effort and good intent there from the Mariners. First substitution of the match, Abigail Gade will make her way to the bench. Number 14, Marina Pashalidis, who came on yesterday as a substitute in Langara's 1-0 victory over Douglas. Kwan, that's a good ball for Sirius. Can she take a touch? She takes a clever one into the path of what was looking like Glavis, but she ended up trying to hook it over top looking for Pashalidis. It was cut out, though, by Mary Nichols, who I have to say I've been very impressed with. Been very impressed with the back line of VIU. They haven't been put under a ton of pressure, but when they've had to play the ball out of the back, they've been spot on, and they've been very good offensively as well. Mary Nichols has got a heck of a right foot on her. And I just made the bad mistake of stepping outside our tent, and I got a bunch of raindrops down the neck. How do you like that, Rodrigo? Man, that's brutal. We love this BC weather, though. Glavis now, right up the left channel. It's a 10-yard rolled ball into the path of Bandel, who takes, pivots, turns, looks for Wells, tries to release. I think it's Di Ruggiero on the far right-hand side, and I haven't called her name in what seems like ages. It's been very quiet on the right-hand side of the Falcons' offensive end. And the rain picking back up here now in Langley, and the wind as well. Wells, beg your pardon, this Di Ruggiero rolls her defender. About 8 minutes to go until halftime, and I'm sure there'll probably be a couple minutes tacked on there. There was That last play where Riccardi got battered ever so slightly. Glavis. Good play of Glavis. She's just a great ball-playing midfielder who, despite her size, not the tallest girl on the pitch, but she doesn't shrug away from the challenge or try and escape her duties and get lost in the midfield, which sometimes you see some anonymous displays in midfield. It can kind of just go that way sometimes. She's always looking to get involved. She's always looking to get in the naughty areas, even if it is in and amongst 2 or 3 white shirts, and get in and battle. That's what you like to see from your midfielders, and I think Glavis has been a great addition for the Falcons this season. We'll effort to get you some out-of-town scores updates here. The PACWESTBC.ca website doesn't seem to be updating. Jay Dillabo now. She's in the clear. Jay Dillabo, can she pop in a shot? It's great defending. Is that Kwan? It is Cassidy Kwan, who I think if she doesn't come across there, that's a clear goal for Jay Dillabo, who is absolutely powering down on Kate Bonazu and looked like she was going to hit that with some hate. And just try and guide it home, but Cassidy Kwan, my goodness, take a bow, number 13. That should be the opening goal of the day. We're in the 40th minute, Capilano and Douglas. It's 2-0 Douglas. Long floated ball. That one not dealt as tidily as I'm sure they would have wanted to. Giovinazzo eventually just had to poke it out wide, but that's one thing that the Langara Falcons defense will just have to watch, is dealing with some of those balls on the first hop. Don't let it bounce. Don't let it cruise into the area. Try and see if you can cut down that service. Because there's been some instances here in this first half where it's just been a little too slack, and it's only a matter of time before this potent Mariners offense pounce on one of those mistakes. And I'm sure that's something Coach Alvin Prasad will be warning his club about. Let's just try and keep it tidy. Let's try and keep it smart. When in doubt, get it out. And you also wonder how missing Tess Van de Vecht in that back line has affected just how they've approached dealing with this VIU offense. Van de Vecht is such a robust, smart player, and she got everything right in her first 3 games outside of the unfortunate missed time tackle that saw her red card and suspension for this matchup. Cassidy Kwan has looked the part so far. But Langara, as mentioned, they've not been playing rope-a-dope. They haven't been walked off the park by any stretch of the imagination, but they're second best to a lot of balls, and I think VIU have enjoyed a bit more of the rhythm here over the first 40 minutes or so. Ooh, ball heaved into the area once again by Gignac. It was helped on, unfortunately, by Glavis, who ended up actually knocking it into her own area. Thankfully, Cassidy Kwan again was right there to side-foot it away. Gignac. Good clearance by Glavis. Bandel takes it down, and Bandel there just trying to get it forward, and it really looks like the Langara Falcons really want to get the ball forward fast. But it just hasn't paid off so far. I think in that instance when Bandel kind of hooked it into Wells could have maybe chested it down and tried to keep it there and work something with Paschalidis, but Wells was keen on the aerial flick first time, which I don't think Paschalidis had really read, and the play ended up going begging. So maybe just a bit more pragmatic, a bit more direct, and just do what they were doing over the past 3 games. They were moving for each other. They were connecting on tidy 1-2s and 10-yard passes. At the moment, they're kind of just hitting and hoping and scrambling a bit, are the Falcons. And I said this would definitely be a test against a very very organized Mariners squad, and so far the Falcons have bent, but they haven't broken. Only one real chance to speak of, and it's that Bonazou tip over. Of course, there was I beg your pardon, there was that subsequent chance where Bonazou was forced into another punching save. She also had to make herself big on a Jay Dillabo effort. Bandel comes out to try and confuse the issue against the keeper there, Thorpe, who hasn't really had a ton to do in this first half, and that's the closest the Falcons have gotten. Bonazou by far has been the busier of the two keepers, as mentioned. Probably 2 gilt edge chances and 1 half chance she's had to palm away here so far. And they need to watch Cameraman here. She's in acres of space on this left touchline. Rita Sirius has just sussed it out and is now going to go and pay her some attention. And that was a risky back pass by the ladies from the island. It put Thorpe in a bit of a spot, and she was forced to concede a deep throw in. And with time ticking down, what would an against the run of play halftime goal do for the Lady Falcons here? I think that would boost their spirits ever so slightly and probably help to deflate the Mariners. I'm sure the champions from Nanaimo, though, have different ideas. Giovinazzo cuts inside. Good play from Giovinazzo into the feet of Wells. This looks promising from the Falcons if they can get some numbers forward. Pinch into the feet of Wells. Spreads it for Glavis. Glavis is kind of almost operating as a number 4 at the moment. I beg your pardon, as a number 6. She's just kind of hanging out right in front of the back 4 to tidy balls up and maybe try and orchestrate something from more deep lying position. She has a good range of passing, Glavis, as well. She's not afraid to carry forward and bring it into the opposition half either. Good through ball there. I think it was the number 4. Indeed, it was Thornton who picks out Dillabo, who still had work to do to get there, and she's done it. Dillabo now cuts back to her left. Can she get around Giovinazzo? Great last-ditch tackle there from Giovinazzo, who's been equal to the task with Dillabo. Great passage of play there between Thornton and Dillabo. Again, when she first hit it, Thornton, it looked like it was going straight up Main Street, but it had just enough little deft swerve where it kind of skipped and carried and screwed out to the left there. It was a perfect little pass. You'd love to see that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, if you're a Mariners fan, you just want to see Dillabo get around Giovinazzo. It's been a good duel on that left-hand side. It'll be a corner kick, a right-footed in-swinger now. Right on the stroke of half-time at the near post. It's headed clear by Glavis. Di Ruggiero lets it run, and that'll be the halftime whistle. There was only really one stoppage of play, and that was for a Riccardi foul in and around the Langara Falcons area. It's been a fairly even match here so far, but if you're looking at chances and possession and kind of rhythm, I'd say the VIU Mariners are probably leading that statistic, but it's anybody's game at the moment. Fairly cagey, and it's what you would expect from a top-of-the-table clash here in the women's PACWEST. Both tied atop the table on 9 points. The only difference between the two, outside of what might potentially be a head-to-head result at the end of this one, is a 4-point goal differential. Capilano, meanwhile, in the other matchup, they're losing to Douglas 2-0. And we'll see what that does for the table at the end of the day as well. It is a PACWEST doubleheader today. The men's coming up at 2:30 as top of the table Langara meet VIU. And that gets going in just under 2 hours' time. We'll take a quick 15-minute break, and we'll come back to a soggy Langley Event Center and get you the second half of the women's matchup. Currently scoreless between Langara and VIU. Back with more PACWEST soccer action from the township of Langley, British Columbia, Canada. We're back with the second half of this first match of our PACWEST doubleheader here at the Langley Event Center, Willoughby Park, Willoughby Field. Top of the table clash as well between the Langara Falcons and the VIU Mariners, both sitting on 9 points. The Mariners have 4 more goals in the goal differential, and this could be massive for a potential head-to-head tiebreaker should it be necessary come playoff time. And the second matchup, the men's affair, gets going at 2:30. Scoreless in that first half, but the VIU Mariners had the better run of the play. Jay Dillable was heavily involved, as was Jada Cameraman, Emma Thornton. No real chances to speak of for the Falcons, who themselves have made a couple substitutions. They've brought on their talismanic number 5, Madison Hung. Outside of that, it looks like they've stayed with the status quo here. So only the one substitution with Madison Hung coming on, and she was busy in her first week as a Falcon. And she also scored yesterday in the 1-0 victory over Douglas. So that might just be the offensive flair that Alvin Prasad needed to kind of stem that pressure. The Mariners were not by far the better team, but just had a bit more rhythm and definitely had 2 or 3 half chances at the very least. They definitely called Bonazou into action. And Glavis tried to play a through ball there, feather one in for Madison Hung, but it was just a bit too central, and it ends up getting tapped out for a throw-in. We're just going to have a peek at the Mariners lineup here and see if they've made any substitutions themselves. I can't imagine they would. I think Coach Bobby Taylor would probably be very happy with what happened in that first half. Bandel dispossessed. Another deep throw, and good pressure here from Langara, and they've spent more time in the opposition end just to start this half than they did probably the entirety of that first half, so that's positive. We'll get you a quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard. Bottom of the table clash between Capilano and Douglas going on at the moment. Douglas had a 2-0 lead at halftime. We'll see if that's held up. Glavis. Misplaced again. Pinch plays it into the center of the park. Wells not able to control it. Cameraman. Beg your pardon, that's Thornton, who tries to ping a diagonal. It takes a wicked ricochet off Regis Sirciris. And thankfully, the winger on the far right-hand side just wasn't able to spring into action. Hannah Wagner. Maya Creed. And Mary Nichols. All the way across now for, I believe, a Gignac on the dribble. She's going to carry inside. Tried to play it into the feet of Riccardi. She does, who clips a first-time ball. Looking for the on-rushing Cameraman, but Rita Sirciris is going to concede the corner there. It looked like she might just be able to shepherd it out, but Cameraman did ever so well to play it off the shins of the number 3, and now the Falcons will have a right-sided corner to defend here in the 49th minute. Of course, the Falcons weren't able to get a victory over the Mariners all last season. They lost 3 encounters and then managed to snag a point in one of them. Right-footed outswinger. It's got some pace. It's got some height right into the noggin of the number 14, Hannah Wagner. All she could do was direct it right back down into the turf, and it ended up hopping pretty tamely into the waiting arms of Kate Bonazou. No real trouble there for the Langara keeper in the bright highlighter green goalkeeper's kit with the white mitts, bright red boots. And of course her teammates, the Langara Falcons, they started the first 3 games all in white, but they're wearing their familiar black kits today. The black kit with the gray shoulder trim. A little bit of orange and white numbering as well, black head to toe. Meanwhile, the Mariners, who are playing right to left on your YouTube stream here today, they've got the crisp white tops with the Pacific Ocean Mariner blue shorts and trim and lettering and the white socks. Pinch. Looking for options. She doesn't want to have to go long and hard, but it seems like she's been doing that all game long, Pinch. She just hasn't had a ton of short options. Madison Hung now steals in to win the ball. A scrappy play along this near left-hand side. Creed. Bit of a risky ball across the seam of defense for Nichols. There's a clever ball inside, 10-yard rolled ball, but Glavis keeps Hannah Wagner honest there. Two-hander in the back just to let her know she was there as well. A little bit of space to dribble now for Maya Creed. She's going to play one right in that left channel. It's going to find Jay Dillabo, who has kind of made a career of chasing down these kind of balls. Unfortunately, that time it was just a bit too far ahead of her. She almost kept it in. Credit there to the number 22 for, once again, busting a lung down that left channel to try and retrieve that pacey ball forward. It was a good play for the Mariners, and it's paid off in that first half. I can see why they'd go back to it in the second. 51st minute, still 0-0. No real chances to speak of for the Falcons, but the Mariners have at least a couple to their tally. And the rain has really picked up here in Langley. 18 degrees, and the heavens have really opened up. Madison Hung has Paschalidis. If she can get the ball to her, it was just a step ahead of Paschalidis, who looks like she was outmatched for size there with Nichols. Paschalidis did well to press the issue, though, and actually force the keeper into a bit of a scrambly clearance, so the Falcons get to keep the ball in the opposite end. Erin Bandel misses a bit of opportunity to control the ball. Very uncharacteristic. She's usually tidy as you like on the ball, Bandel. She does well to shield Thornton there. Does Bandel scampers away with it, I should say. She's got the overlapping run of Glavis, but Bandel's going to go back inside for Giovinazzo. First time ball into the path of Wells. Can she suss out a pass? Wells knows she's picked off, and this might be a counterattack. It's 4-on-4 if they can suss out that Dillabo's opened up space. Riccardi's going to try and take it, though. Good clearance by Rita Sears, but she's actually played in Dillabo. This could be danger. Dillabo goes for a first-time left-footed shot. She saw Bonazou scrambling across her line, so she tried to arc it into that top portion of the net, and I think if Dillabo keeps that, takes a touch, and cruises into the penalty area, we could be looking at our first goal. Very uncharacteristic mistake there by Rita Sears as she played a cross box pass to absolutely no one, and it almost ended up burning the number 3. I think maybe next time just turn it away, put it to the touchline, or just hoof it out for a goal or a corner kick if you absolutely must, but I'm sure Rita didn't see Jay Dillabo at the back post there. And the unfortunate effort of Dillabo spared the blushes of Sears. Good play there by Wells to shield the ball. She tries to swerve one into the path of Madison Hung, but she was boxed out by Nichols and Creed there. We'll take a quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard now. Douglas, we're up 2-0 at the halftime locker room whistle. That is in the 56th minute. Douglas still up 2-0, so Capilano, their season might be over just before it even started. They're on the pace for 0 points from 4 matches, and that's going to be a tough comeback, especially with the likes of VIU and Langara applying their trade the way they are, and you know Douglas will eventually find their feet. They don't stay quiet for long. So the Capilano Blues in the ladies division really behind the 8 ball now to start this one. Creed has the ball now right in the center circle, and the Falcons have just dropped. They had a very good high press going to start the half, but they've settled kind of into that low block again, and they're welcoming in this Mariners offense, which can be a dubious proposition, a bit of a dangerous tactic, playing with fire a bit. I can go on with my cliches, but I'll cease and desist. Bit of a halfway ball back from Maya Creed. Put her keeper, Thorpe, in a bit of a jam there. Paschalidis was screaming into her kitchen, but the keeper did well to get rid of the ball in the nick of time. Good ball again from number 4, Emma Thornton, who just has such a great range of passing. Dillon, who's been very quiet by her standards today. She's going to try to swerve into the path of Madison Young, who's going to get there. She's going to take it to the outside, just outside the penalty box, and she'll cut back on her left foot. Bit of a sloppy touch just outside the 18-yard box. Sees it get away from Hung, but Giovinazzo keeps it alive. Good play there by the outside back of the Falcons, and this ball's into the path of Paschalidis. She took a touchdown to tee herself up, but it was really good last-ditch defending there by Nichols, who just came across the body of Paschalidis to put it out for a corner kick. Oh, if Paschalidis just could have retrieved that one. If it was just a ball width more towards her, I think that's a lash on net and potentially a goal. That was probably 8 yards out. Good spell of play there from the Falcons. Madison Hung, right-footed outswinger. It's got some loft on it. Giovinazzo got down. There's a rebound. Oh, and it looked like Thorpe got to it. Giovinazzo got the first-time touch, and it was a good chance. That's the best chance of the game for the Falcons. It's a great save by Thorpe, and I think it was Pashalides who was right on top of Thorpe, but just couldn't pounce on the rebound in time. Bang, bang, scrambly play. Great cross in by Madison Hung as well, right into the naughty area, and no one really dealt with it. So the Falcons, in this opening 10 minutes of the second half, are looking way more up for the offensive duel, and that's just with one substitution, Madison Hung, who seems to be the bread and butter of this Langara Falcons offense if this opening 4 games is anything to go off of. Bandel thumps over Thornton again. That's been a healthy duel in the middle of the park. Good dribbling there by Thornton. She gets herself out of a phone booth and makes it look so easy before pinging a perfect diagonal ball. What a weighted pass. Unfortunately, it's just a dash in front of cameramen who kind of watched it skip off this hard, wet surface here at Willoughby Park at the Langley Event Center. What a good little juke and jive there by Emma Thornton in the middle of the park before opening up her body and just unleashing a ferocious cross to that far right corner. Good play by the number 4, and you can see why VIU have the goals they have and the results they have early in this campaign with plays like that. Ball hooked up in the air by Amber Wells. Manat Dillon was the closest. And VIU have the ball back now. Good clearance there by the number 14, Hannah Wagner. And the wind has really picked up here at Willoughby Park. Madison Hung goes for a shimmy and a shake. Tried to get to the inside of Nichols, but couldn't get there. I beg your pardon. I think it was actually Maya Creed who ended up putting the last tackle in on Hung. Wells. Good play there from the Falcons again, who are slowly clawing more offensive territory in this game. We have a counterattack here. It's 3-on-3 if Riccardi can get her space right. She tried to split the wickets between Bandel and Cassidy Kwan. I'm surprised the yellow card wasn't brandished there, to be honest, because it looked like Riccardi had kind of confused the numbers there and was ready to punish the Falcons, and it's a very professional foul. And anyone who knows me knows I love me a good tactical foul to stifle a forward momentum of the opposition. And that, I think, worked a charm because Riccardi looked like she had the crosshairs calibrated, and there is the yellow card, and I think that is the right call for Pinch. She's under the cosh now. And another one for Bandel, so I guess that was a tag team effort there on Riccardi. So a double professional foul. I don't think I've ever seen one of those, but you know what? The PACWEST, it always wheels out some interesting plays, and that's definitely no different. Real dangerous spot here now for Mary Nichols from Ladysmith, BC to try and conjure up something for her club. They haven't had much time in the offensive end here in the Langara box. Can they make the Falcons pay for that last play? What a goal that is! What a free kick from Nichols! It tucks just under the bar, takes a lick of paint and goes straight down over the line. You will not see a finer hit than that in the PACWEST Women's Division, and you can't blame Bonazu. That was hit on a frozen rope at the perfect height, the perfect trajectory. And VIU kind of against the run of play here in this second half have opened the scoring. They were full value in that first half, and they finally get their goal, and now the Falcons, will see what they're made of here. I think for the first time all season, they'll be trailing, and what will the answer be from the ladies in black here? And not all, it's a little bit of salt in the wound as well, because now you have your starting center back, Madison Pinch, and your midfielder, Bandel, both on yellows. And the goal was scored, so a bit of a double whammy there 30 minutes to go for the Falcons to try and at least get a draw to this. Ball for Cameraman. Can she reel it in? It got past Sears. She can. Cameraman's there. Sears is right there, but Cameraman does ever so well to sidestep her. Sears is on her like a cheap suit right now. This is good battling play from the number 3s, but Cameraman gets away with it. Clever play, and they need to get rid of this. Manat Dillon is trying to shield the ball inside the penalty box. That needs to be cleared. It'll be a corner kick, and this could go from bad to worse for Langara if they're not on their best behavior here, because it looks like the Mariners smell blood, and they're going for the jugular. Right-footed outswinger again, and they'll have to be tidy with this one, Will. The Falcons, if it's 2-0, I think that might be curtains. It's headed down by Maya Creed. It's bobbling around the box. Right-footed shot, and it's in the back of the net. It looked like it was Avery Henderson who spun and smacked that one home. And I said they had to be tidy in and around the penalty box. They just haven't dealt with some of those second waves of play, have the Falcons, and it's come back to bite them now. 2-0 with just under 30 minutes to play. We knew it was going to be a test for the Falcons here today, and they looked ever so well coming out of the halftime locker room. They even managed to conjure up a chance with Giovinazzo and Pashalides, but ever since that, it's been all Mariners, and they look like they're going to keep going here. They're a team that just does not know the meaning of the word relent. I think they're just going to try and put the boots to the number 2 club on the PACWEST standings, and that puts a bit of distance between them and Langara for that top bye spot, which of course is kind of the gateway to the finals in the PACWEST. Of course, we can't forget that the Langara Falcons were without playoff football last season, so just the beginning of this campaign has been a massive improvement. But VIU are the reigning champs for a reason. They've been talking the talk and walking the walk for a couple seasons here now in the PACWEST, and once again they've proved their quality. Dillabo now cuts back to her right, left still going on her right. Dillabo looks like she has some space to uncork a shot. She does. It comes off the backside of Cassidy Kwan. Henderson. And Alvin Prasad just asking Marina Pashalides just to clear her space. Or I should say cover the space a little bit more. Just a little bit more legwork needed up front. A bit of a misplaced goal kick there from Bonazou. It'll force Madison Hungen to try and win that one. She takes a hard shoulder to the back from Dillabo, and it'll be a free kick the way of the Falcons. If you're just joining us after a scoreless first half and some very positive play from the Falcons to start the half, the Mariners have sprung to life here in the offensive end. 2 goals. One from a laser of a free kick from Mary Nichols, and the other smashed home from close range, Avery Henderson, after a second wave scramble following a corner kick. Pashalides tries to get it to the right for, to the left for Sears. And it goes out into touch. Quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard. Things have gone from bad to worse for Capilano, as we might have a chance here for VIU. That's snuffed out by Kate Bonazou. Out-of-town scoreboard, Douglas now up 3-0 on Capilano in the 67th minute, so barring an absolute miracle from the ladies in blue, Douglas are probably going to escape that with 3 points, their first points of the season, which will bump them up to 3rd in the table. And if this result stands, that would put VIU on 12 points, Langara on 9, Douglas on 3, and Cap on 0. So plenty of games still to play here, but you feel if the Langara Falcons want to go ahead and fight for that number 1 bye spot, they're going to have to maybe take the rest of the season series against VIU. I think they play 4 matches together, this being one of them. They're going to probably have to go and win the next 3 because you're going to expect VIU to go ahead and get results against the likes of Capilano and Douglas. Ball into the area from Bandel. Almost goes the width of the area. Eventually tidied up by Emma Thornton, only as far as Glavis. Langara's going to have to pull some points here against VIU. And you know Douglas is going to come back to life, so there'll be a stern challenge. So what looked like it might be a cruise towards the playoff for the Falcons now, all of a sudden here, is in a bit of danger ever so slightly. Erin Bandel second to the party there. She's beaten by the number 12, Gignac. If you're just joining us, the score 2-0 the way of VIU. Goals from Nichols and Henderson. Substitute here for the Langara Falcons. Abigail Gade's going to come back into this one. And it'll be for, is it Cassidy Kwan? Yes, it will be. Cassidy Kwan will leave the pitch on the far left-hand side. And Abigail Gade is now back into this one. If you're just joining us, as mentioned, I think we just lost our score overlay decal on the broadcast, so I'm now tasked with bringing you up to pace on the score, and we might have one here. Madison Hung cruising into the area, left-footed, still going Hung. Can she uncork a shot? She cuts back across, which she gets returned to her by the defense. She tries to rip a right-footed shot. She just couldn't unleash it. Eventually boxed out. Good play there by Madison Hung, who looks to be the way home for the Langara Falcons offense. As mentioned, we've lost our score overlay on our broadcast here, so I'll bring you up to date. 2-0 here for the top of the table and reigning champion VIU Mariners. Dillabo, can she inflict more punishment on Langara? Flying tackles come in from Riccardi. She couldn't get there ahead of Manat Dillon, and the cross goes flying out the opposite end for Rita Searseris. Searseris gets around one, can't get it to Bandel in time. 2-0 VIU. We're now in the 68th minute. Another look at the out-of-town scoreboard. Douglas pouring it on now. 4-0 over Capilano. So Douglas for sure will be going up to 3 points on the standings here for the PACWEST Women's. Good enough for third spot. And that will be a playoff spot. Chance here for Riccardi. She's going to try and take on Amber Wells, who's dropped a bit deep. '69th minute, 2-0 VIU. And time ticking down on perhaps a potential chance for a consolation marker, if anything, for Langara. But if they're going to go ahead and get a goal and press the issue here, they're going to need to do it fairly quickly, because this VIU Mariners squad, they've given up one chance all day. One chance. That's stingy defending. That's stingy defending. But that's the type of defending it takes to win championships, and that's what they did last campaign. VIU, rip of a shot there from Avery Henderson, and she's already got a goal to her tally. She fancied one from long range, and it just about knuckled into that top left-hand corner of Kate Bonazu's net. PACWEST doubleheader action here from the Langley Event Center, home of Vancouver FC in the CPL, the Vancouver Giants, and as well as the Vancouver Bandits, the local basketball club, and just a hub for sports here in the Fraser Valley. We got soccer and field hockey turfs as far as the eye can see. We got a beach volleyball pit. You've got a skate park, basketball courts. You got a spectator's barn. Acres of parking, free parking I might add as well, which is a little incentive to come on down and check out the matches. A great concession stand as well. And we're high atop the stadium here at Willoughby Park. The men's match is coming up at 2:30. Second match of the doubleheader between VIU and Langara. Langara men top of the table and reigning champs. They'll take on VIU, who are still looking for their first win of the campaign, but had some very positive spells last night. They were down 2-0 to Capilano and stormed back to tie it up, I think in the 86th minute, 2-2. So Capilano will rue their missed chances and their blowing of that lead, but it'll give a little pepper in the soup for VIU, who have come in here to Willoughby Park and won before against Langara. I believe it wasn't last season, it was the season before, so they can do it, VIU. It's just a matter of getting it done. That'll get going at 2:30, and we'll have the stream here. PACWEST doubleheader action with some perspiration, or not perspiration, I beg your pardon, precipitation. Maybe some perspiration from the players, but precipitation from the heavens here. Corner kick for the Langara Falcons. The far left-hand side will be Aaron Bandel, a right-footed in-swinger. It's got height, it's got pace, it's in the 6-yard box, it's knotted down but flies past Madison Hung. Glavis the first to it, she gets clobbered, and now it's going to be a one-on-one between Jade Dillabo and Amber Wells. Riccardi is making the late run. Beg your pardon, it's actually Huggle. Jade Dillabo's got around the Langara defense, tries to smash it in near post, and it's palmed away by Kate Bonazou, and the referee will, I think, bring the play back here for Glavis, who got thumped on that counter-attack. I think it will be a corner kick from this near left-hand side. Good on the referee to go back and check on Glavis, though. Takes a little bit of steam out of the Vancouver Islanders, or I beg your pardon, the Vancouver Island University Mariners foray forward there from the corner kick, but they'll take their time. They'll make their paces forward now. 72nd minute, it's 2-0 VIU, and if this one were to go in, I think that might be curtains for the Langara Falcons, and they may just want to lick their wounds and live to fight another day. Might be damage control at that stage. It'll be a right-footed outswinger again. Riccardi showing short. It's right into the top of the 6! It was Nichols who got her head to it, but it was just too much of a glancing header, and it flies out past the left-hand post of Bonazou. Substitution coming up here for VIU. They're going to bring on their number 21. That's Brianna Narduzzi. Along with Riccardi. Some more Italian flair as far as the last name is concerned anyways. Good play up the right-hand touch line. It's Gignac who tried to whip it across, but it was charged down by Manat Dillon. Beg your pardon, it was actually Madison Hung who dropped back to do some defensive duties. 2-0 VIU. We're approaching the 74th minute. Out-of-town scoreboard. Douglas, have mercy. It is 5-0 over Capilano. That one in the 76th minute. Perhaps the ladies in green, the Douglas Royals, heard some of the broadcast yesterday and some of the quality they've shown, and they've just come home empty-handed so many times, and I think they just said enough is enough, and unfortunately, the Capilano are their punching bag at the moment. Manat Dillon. Wells lifts the ball into the path of Hung. She's out-dueled, though, by Avery Henderson. Madison Pinch gets around Narduzzi. And then the subsequent tackle as well. The number 9, Huggle, was also causing problems for Pinch, but she did ever so well to tiptoe her way out of danger. And once again, I know they've done ever so well, and outside the 2 goals, one which was a screaming free kick and the other which was another set piece, a corner kick that they unfortunately just didn't deal with tidily enough. You just wonder if their stalwart center back, Tess Van de Vet, could have helped to stem some of this pressure for the Falcons. She was immense in those first 3 matchups, and not to say that the defense hasn't done their job, but when you're shifting parts and you're having Cassidy Kwan drop back to play center back and Amber Wells is dropping back to play center back, I can imagine it's tough to kind of gather an understanding and find a rhythm and some partnerships there. And Pinch and Van de Vecht had carved out a nice little understanding with each other. Not a lot got past them in those first 3 games, and you tip your cap to the quality of the VIU Mariners, absolutely, but you just wonder what that little shift in personnel and perhaps tactic has done, perhaps not in the favor of the Falcons. And once again, that's not taking anything away from Cassidy Kwan or Amber Wells, who are making themselves available to the squad in those types of positions that might be a little bit out of position. We've seen Amber Wells playing up top, and now she's part of a makeshift center back pairing alongside the usual defender back there, Madison Pinch. We're in the 76th minute. It's 2-0 VIU, and oh no, number 7, Mary Nichols, probably from the exact same spot, scored an absolute ripper of a free kick no less than a half hour ago. She might try her luck again. She's going to! Oh, and it comes off the post and smacks across the line! Goodness me! Mary Nichols. There's a little bit of gold in that right boot, a little bit of platinum and diamonds as well, because she has been sparkling from the free kicks today. My goodness, another fantastic hit. That one with a little less pace, but a little bit more placement. She opened up the body and almost snooker shotted it in off that post. It had Bonazou scrambling, and if it wasn't because physics had different ideas, that's a 3-0 goal and an absolute belter. So the Langara Falcons, they can't even concede free kicks in and around their 18-yard box when you have a wand for a right foot like Mary Nichols there. Goodness me. 77th minute, 2-0, but let's be honest here, it probably should be 3. "13 minutes left here for Langara to try and get something. They've really struggled to create chances ever since that Giovinazzo first-time hit from the corner kick that was smothered by Caden Thorpe. Henderson into the path of Huggle. Cross into the area at the near post. It took a shoulder, I think. I think that was Narduzzi who got the final touch. It was. All she could do was kind of throw her body at it, and it rolled off the top of her left shoulder and went harmlessly wide. But she had carved herself out a nice little position at that near post if she could manage to wrap her right foot around it, but she just didn't have enough time, and the ball was whipped in with a lot of fizz, let's be honest. Sir Sirius tries to get it up the touchline for Hung. The weather's just picked up ever so slightly as far as wind and a little sprinkling of rain. Still holding at 17 degrees, though. I think the men might be in for a bit of a torrential portion of the afternoon. They might want to bring out their raincoats, their anoraks, for the old school raincoat wearers out there. Gade does well to shield from Dillabo. Giovinazzo's been caught in a bit of a position now, but Madison Pinch will provide some cover. Creed welcomed the press of Madison Hung. Thornton into the path of Narduzzi. She'll lay it off for Dillabo. No, she won't. She'll go for a left-footed shot, and that one scoops into the waiting arms of Bonazou had it covered at the near post. Still 2-0 VIU. It's in the 80th minute now. And I don't know if the Langara Falcons, even through the course of the season, will be able to catch this high-scoring VIU squad on goal difference. This might be another goal here for VIU as Dillabo. Can she get to the inside of pinch? She has. Dillabo. It's brave goalkeeping by Bonazou. The ball is still loose, though. Wells. Ooh, Wells is in some kind of discomfort. And the ball's in the back of the net. It's gone through Bonazou. Dillabo uncorked a shot. It was a mad scramble in the area. Bodies were flying everywhere. Bonazou, Wells, and Dillabo all got wiped out, but somehow Dillabo came away with the ball, turns her body, smacks it home, and it goes through the keeper. And it's 3-0 Langara, and I think that's the final nail in the coffin. I was just saying in the lead up to that one that Langara might just want to throw some bodies forward because a draw might do them a little bit better than conceding a third or a fourth goal, which they've just done now. So I don't know if you want to pour bodies forward. I don't think 3 goals is achievable at this stage of the game, just the way play has gone today for the Falcons. They may have needed to take a bit more risk going forward when the score was 1 or 2-0. But let's be honest here, VIU have managed this game very well. You do give credit to the Falcons. They have put up the fight here, but it's been a very organized performance, a very cohesive performance from the VIU Mariners today. You definitely see why they're top of the table, and you definitely see why they're the reigning champs. Wells. Let's get past her, but Manat Dillon retrieves it into the foot of Glavis, and it just gets away from her as well. It's been one of those nights at the office for the Falcons where just the passing and the receiving just hasn't gone their way today. They really haven't gotten the rub of the green. Another misplaced pass by Dillon, and it could be a walk-in for Avery Henderson. It is. I beg your pardon. It's actually Cameraman. One-on-one. Cameraman shoots. Great stop. Bonazou. Good play there by Bonazou, and Giovinazzo caught napping on it ever so slightly. VIU are just first to every ball here. It could be 4-0 if it wasn't for Kate Bonazou, who's had to punch away a few really good chances here. And VIU are ticking on all cylinders. Madison Pinch needs some help here. Dillabo is wide open at the back post, and nobody's found her. It should be a tap-in, but it's offside on the Cameraman. It looks like VIU might go ahead and grab 1 or 2 more here. Langara look like they have just run out of gas at the moment. Madison Pinch was completely isolated there with 3 white shirts, and it didn't look like any help was arriving quick. The heads have dropped ever so slightly here for Langara. Pashalides. We're in the 83rd minute. It's 3-0 VIU, but they continue to pour it on to the ladies in white and blue. Huggle rides the tackle of Pashalides. We're going to have a substitution here for Langara. It's actually going to be a goalkeeper substitution. I just wonder if Bonazou took a knock there. She looks like she's okay coming off the park. So maybe just Alvin Prasad just trying to spare Bonazou any further punishment here. DeConti Smith from Chilliwack, the number 30, she's now in goal. And she might walk into a baptism of fire here. This could be a real bringing up to speed for the number 30 goalkeeper if she's not on her best behavior. We have about 8 minutes to go here. We're now ticking over, I beg your pardon, into the 84th minute. And it still looks like chances aplenty could be had here because VIU, perhaps now with a backup goalkeeper, are still smelling blood and they're still pouncing despite the job being virtually taken care of. Double substitution coming up here for VIU. It'll be number 6, Nicola Underwood, and number 25, Jetta Nelson. Good pass there from Sears. Finds Madison Hung. Let's see what Hung can conjure up here. She's been the brightest spot so far today for the Falcons. Hung, can she clip it back across the area? She does. Bandel's the closest to it, but she can't retrieve it. Gade's going to try and fly in and win it. And Wagner will take no chances and just lift it out into touch. 85th minute now, still 3-0 for VIU. Out-of-town scoreboard. Douglas 6, Capilano 0. That in the 88th minute. So the ladies in green not happy with the start to their season. They played that matchup today ornery, let me tell you. And the Capilano women, unfortunately, are on the receiving end of it. That'll bump them up to 3 points and third in the table. Bandel. Can she put in a cross? She'll cut it back to her right foot. Giovinazzo, can she put in a cross now? Not a ton of black shirts in the area, so not a bad play by Giovinazzo just to retain possession. 86th minute, 3-0 VIU. Bandel cuts back to her left, still going on her right, going for a dribble now. Bandel. Glavis. To Bandel, helped on to Gade. Can she put in a cross? She does. It takes a deflection corner kick for the Falcons. And maybe just what the doctor ordered. A late consolation marker here. Like I said, I don't think they're catching VIU on goal difference, but at least try and keep it somewhat respectable. Long floated ball in the area. Wells was the closest to it, and she clobbered a couple white shirts on her way to it on the path. Unfortunately, she just didn't reach the ball. A lot of collateral damage in that instance, but no reward there for Amber Wells. Paschalidis. Can she cut it past Nichols here? She needs to get this ball in the area, Paschalidis. It's a good ball to the top of the area. Bandel chests it. It flies down for Gade, who's offside. That's so unfortunate. I would have loved to see another replay there. It looked like Gade had just kept herself onside. There was a big collision at the top of the box between Bandel and I think two white shirts. We're now going to see that double substitution from VIU. Underwood and Nelson will come on, and it looks like Dillabo and, come on, young lady, turn around. Dillabo and Huggle will come off here, the number 9. And we also had a substitution for Langara as well, as it looks like Rita Sears will be given a bit of a rest. And Azra Sadiq will be on the number 2 on the left back position. We're in the 88th minute. VIU up 3-0. And it looks like they're hungry for more. Rolled ball in by Nelson. Looks like she might find her number 3, Cameraman. Cross into the area. Almost a free header there for the other substitute, Underwood. It had the keeper, DeConte Smith, scrambling at the near post. It almost lifted the width of the area. Another good little spell of play there from VIU. Substitution again coming for the Mariners. They're going to bring on Niobe Darku. '89th minute. I can't imagine the referee will allow for a lot of added time here. I don't think there was many knocks to speak of, and I think at this stage of the game the result may be fairly academic. Time ticking down on a potential consolation marker, as mentioned earlier. Goal difference stacked in the favor of the Mariners, who are scoring goals for fun at the moment across all competitions and across all teams. Bandel gets the ball back. She has Madison Hung on the overlap. Could she get it to her? Hung away now if she can get clear of Creed. Hung cuts to the inside, retrieves the ball, wipes out Creed in the process. It was nice and legal, though, by Hung. Unfortunately, Caden Thorpe, who hasn't had a ton to do today, timed her run off her line perfectly. We're into the 90th minute now. It's still 3-0 VIU. And we have a player down here. Is it Bandel? It is. She had the taped up left wrist coming into this weekend. Of course, she took home Athlete of the Week honors for her performances in the double against Capilano back on September 6th and 7th. It looks like she'll be okay. She's just going to shake it off. And referee will get play rolling again here, and as I imagine, not a ton of added time, which will clear the way for the men's matchup coming up at 2:30, the second half of our PACWEST doubleheader here at the Langley Event Center. Top of the table and reigning champion Langara men meet VIU, who themselves are still looking for their first victory of the campaign, but were boosted by a massive comeback draw yesterday against Capilano after being down 2-0. Just the dying embers of this one. Maya Creed for Niobe Darku, I beg your pardon. Giovinazzo, bit of an awkward height for the throw, and she kind of had to leap up to take it at collarbone height, and never really settled down for her. Underwood has it. Good pass by Underwood. She finds Darku. Darku has acres of space to switch play, and she does that. Great ball. That's across for Nelson. Jetta Nelson, she's on the trot. She has Cameraman, who's an absolute speed demon and a great service master on the far right-hand side. Can she whip it across? She does. Well weighted to the top of the box. I think it was Narduzzi who swung and missed at that one, the top of the 6-yard box. And I think if she makes contact, that's a serious bit of work there for DeConti Smith to try and keep out of the net. We're now into added time. It's 3-0 VIU. Madison Pinch laces a ball up the right channel. Bandel loses her aerial duel there with Wagner. Pinch still in a good scrap down there with Underwood, I believe. Hung. Can she get past Maya Creed? She can't. Referee has a long look at his watch here. I can't imagine there's a ton of time left on his sundial. Bandel. Delicate feet there to get around her marker. Plays it inside for Manat Dillon. Dillon wins it back, though. This could be promising. Can she get it forward for Hung? All it needed was just a tidy little 2-yarder forward into the path of Hung, but she uncorks it. It comes off the shins of a Mariner defender. And probably the last kick at the can here for Langara to spare some blushes. It's 3-0 VIU with the full-time whistle imminent here at Willoughby Field. Another good bit of service there from Madison Hung, right to the penalty dot. Flies out to Azra Siddiq, who has a lash at it. Kind of hit the bottom of her studs and flew up into the air. DeConti Smith is going to come out here and challenge this one. She plays it back into the path of Siddiq, but hasn't really done her defense any favors. Narduzzi now forces Siddiq into a tackle. It's scrambly play, and maybe Smith plays that one out into touch next time. It kind of was played right up Main Street. It doesn't matter in the end as far as the result is concerned, though, as VAU show their class in the second half. It was a cagey opening 45, but the top of the table VIU Mariners continue rolling. They hand the Langara Falcons their first defeat of the season. 3-0 is the final. That bumps the Mariners up to top of the table on 12 points. Langara sit on 9 points. Douglas, who at last look were thumping Capilano 6-0, they'll bump up to 3 points on the table, and Capilano will sit bottom of the table on 0 points. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back with the second match of our doubleheader. The men are up next. Langara Falcons, the champions, the reigning champs, and top of the table, they meet VIU, who are looking for their first victory of the campaign, but as mentioned, coming off a big draw yesterday against Capilano. Quick break, back with more PACWEST action from the Langley Event Center in the township of Langley.